haul. And so, yeah, I'm a real mixture of things, and there's a lot of work to be done because um, I, I I really think there's a crisis of consciousness on the part of people who really, I don't feel like I need to be silent anymore, but people who thought that Trump really deserved another 4 years. It was unnerving to me that 70 million people felt that way in our country. So it's going to be interesting going forward here.
Yeah, I've been thinking about how are we gonna unify? Very weird. Anyway, you want to choose who checks in next?
Oh, sure. Claudia, how about you?
Hi, thanks. Yeah, doing okay. Spent all of Saturday afternoon and evening crying and just grieving, letting go. I mean, I'm so happy about the outcome, but just I didn't quite know how much I had been holding on and trying to hold on to my inner reserve and strength of hope and belief and trust that the best thing that could happen would happen. So I was a little surprised by the immense letting go process for me, but it was good. I was just with it. And now I've been tired since then. Yesterday and today, have been busy days, but I'm not my full self quite yet. But feels like it's been more than a week since Tuesday. Yeah. And I don't know. How are we going to come together is my big question. It's like stunning the number of people who favor him still. And I'd like to know why, but I don't know whether I can have a good conversation about it, if they'd be willing, or if I know how to meet around that question. So how about you, Janet? I see your forehead. There you are. There you are.
There we go. I'm confused where the mute was, but well, I was so concerned, and so it's nice at least to be relieved about not a horrible outcome, not a great outcome. So I don't know, I had a lot of relief coursing through my body needlessly, because if the votes would have been counted when they came in, we wouldn't have to be worrying about it, but turns out, but yeah, I don't know. I'm probably in denial, but I feel like just hearing Mitch works with people who, a few people who vote Republican, and well, one voted Republican because, he needs his kids to go to school. And it's like, oh, okay. And he's pissed off that Waltz, he blames Waltz rather than like, hey, we haven't done what we needed to do as a society to deal with COVID. But so I'm trying to think, there might be more people like that who are, it's shocking to me that they wouldn't be concerned about all the other aspects of what's horrible about Trump. But maybe they're not horrible people because of that. I don't know. Anyway. Now I've talked myself out of it, though. It's a bad sign that so many people were willing to go with an autocrat. All right, that's all I got. Laura?
Hi. I've been feeling tired today too, and Yeah, I was watching the election, and I was also surprised at the support that Trump had. And I am wondering why. It seems a lot of people believed what he says, but I'm very happy that Biden won. And he does have quite a challenge ahead of him. And
Yeah.
I'm hoping he can pull that together with a lot of good people and make some progress.
I think that's
it.
it.
Yeah.
You want to say anything about your feelings, Clyde?
Well, I'm really glad that Biden won, but there's still all this misinformation about him out there too. So I hope it all gets taken care of. And I do like what he's going to be doing with the virus and its virus team. So the sooner he can get that going, the better.
Yeah.
Yeah, you already started
Yeah, I know.
today.
Yeah, that's good. I've been really paying attention to the questions you were all mostly asking about the 70 million who wanted Trump. And it did shock me a little bit too. And actually, we're going to, in some ways, talk about that tonight. It's going to sound a little scattered. We're continuing our conversation from last week where we were talking about how to organize our information so we know how to create the practical magic we want. And so we talked about, we've got the 25 chakras as information, we've got the gemstone healing as information, we've got the 5 energy bodies as information, we've got the partnerships as information. And one of the things we did before this last Wednesday, before the Wednesday before the election, is we did a Zoom call, and we had some of you from class and people who are doing the healing who are not in class, and we became one and welcomed the fungi into our physical body. And I understood that's the first time we've really had that connection with them. And I really felt a sense of calmness and organization after that call. You know, guess I probably should have asked you how you felt, but the election is on top of that. So that certainly has some calmness and organization in it too, that we got the result we wanted. So what I was doing was, well, part of what I think we have to receive energy from our guidance in the form of physical objects. And of course, the foremost physical object we have is our physical body. So paying attention to our aches and pains and our emotions and our feelings is the most important thing we can do. And I don't know how used to, I know some of you really well, some of you I hardly know at all, and I don't know how used to paying attention to yourself you are. I mean, lots of people think that it's not good to be narcissistic and it's not good to put yourself first. And of course, it's better to give than receive. And there's all kinds of information that with the will opening up gets turned upside down. I've got one question for you is those of you, tell me how comfortable and familiar you are with dowsing. Can you use a pendulum? Can you do muscle testing so you can use objects like your body or like a pendulum or a dowsing rod to communicate with the unseen world?
Mm-hmm.
I
Is there
do a
any-
lot of muscle testing, but not any pendulum. I haven't really, maybe I've tried it once. I don't know, but
muscle testings is just as good. I prefer it actually because it's faster than dowsing.
Yeah, and I'm familiar with both methods and use them both in my work.
Okay.
And I do both.
You do both? Okay. What about you, Laura?
I've done muscle testing, but not dowsing.
Okay. So I think one of the big changes that I discovered when we became one with the fungi is that all the muscle testing I do, and I don't do dowsing on a daily basis either, is that I felt that the answers I were all true. And there was something that was irritating me most of these 27 years or 28 years that I've been part of this energy, was that I'd ask a question and I'd get what I thought was an untruthful answer. And that hasn't happened. So I've had a muscle testing kind of conversation with the unseen world, and they did change that. So I'm looking around, I'm looking to see whether that holds or how that holds. But I do think that the best way to get your psychic information about yourself is by muscle testing or pendulum, or especially focusing on an object when it comes to what do you need to do next. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about chasing the pain in your physical body. I'm in this process with heart to rid my body of all physical pain. So I'm going to share about that because it's kind of important. But this morning I was talking to Paul Savet on the phone. He teaches my classes. And I know one of you hasn't met him, but he's wonderful. And he's been having all kinds of stomach problems. And then he saw on his living room floor a double terminated quartz crystal, not a big one, maybe an inch. And he had received one of those from me a long time ago. And so he reached into his pocket, and there was a bag that's knotted shut that has all of his rocks in that he carries around every day. So he unknotted it and looked in the bag, and the crystal was no longer in the bag. But somehow it had jumped from the bag to the floor of his living room. So he remembered me saying that you can give yourself a whole body healing by putting the crystal that size in his mouth. So he put it in his mouth, and all of his stomach problems disappeared.
oh,
He got a healing from it. So he was following the object kind of guidance, if you will. He told me I could share that if he'd want. And it was fun for him because it's the first time that he's consciously aware that the unseen world moved objects around in his space.
Jaentra, I have had stomach problems too for a while. And have you noticed, have you had other people talking about this?
Yeah.
Is there something going on in the collective that suggests gives any kind of rationale for why this is happening if other people are reporting it as well?
We're
Because
changing.
Go ahead.
I think we're changing so fast, just to integrate the fungi into ourselves for the first time. I mean, think about that huge change. And then, of course, the election's a huge change. And then it seems like every week there's something we're doing that's new. It's hard for me to even know exactly who I am anymore. I'm now part of the angel Gabriel. He's now one with my, just keeps going.
Well, and our gut is our power center. So
yeah.
I don't know. I thought even in this group, others were talking about some stomach issues at one point, but maybe I have that wrong.
No, I think that.
Yeah. So it makes me wonder if there's some power shift that's happening too.
I hope so. I really.
Some energetic power shift.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to get to that. I'm
Oh, okay.
wondering how many of you are familiar with the North Shore or Lake Superior. We're around Lake Superior pretty close. I know Laura's been there a lot, and Nettie has. I have.
I have.
I
Okay.
go there every year, a couple times a year. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you may know this, so just be patient with me, but there is a huge energy vortex in the middle of Lake Superior, but Lake Superior is part of. And I think most of us have been aware of it on some level, even if we didn't think about it that way. And it is an energy vortex to go home.
Hmm.
And I was doing this pain tracking thing that I told you about. I'll tell you the long story about it in a few minutes, but the short story was I ended up tracking that there was this part of God. There's so many names for God anymore that it's hard to know what to call it. She, it, whatever. But this whole beingness that we can access through the Lake Superior vortex is one where it's the first being that when it separated part of itself became, say, Jaentra, and then he separated and part of itself became Nettie, and part of itself became every person, and part of itself became the earth. And it's like it took itself apart to create the experiment we have. And when it took itself apart, that separation caused us pain. And it took apart us through kind of a hateful separation. It wasn't a joyful separation. And one of the people who are working through this energy right now with us, Barbara Brockway, she is the one person on the planet that had a joyful separation from this energy vortex. So we spent some time in the last couple weeks kind of figuring that out. It was a long process, and I don't think that useful necessarily to share with you. Involved a lot of discussion and muscle testing, and she's doesn't mind if I let you know she has colon cancer, and she had a colonoscopy, and they went into the sigmoid colon and found this tumor right away. And she's doing alternative things. She's not having the surgery that they offered her, but she's going to get another sigmoidoscopy or colonoscopy to have them look. And I think it's time. She's worked a couple of months doing healing and other things. And it's really been a fun process to work with her. And then she's working with other people, not just me. So it was really unique to feel the energy this morning because they used her body to fill the whole planet with new accesses and new connections to that part of the great being of oneness that divided itself up to become all of us. And it was really an amazing feeling. And I've been feeling that love all day. So they said that they wanted me to share it with you. So maybe what we should do is have you put your hand on your navel and your heart, and let's do a chakra zip up where you welcome that primal beingness that separated part of itself to be you, and welcome you back with love, and know that your separation, your physical separation, is one of love. So we're bringing that energy in. And So let's take a deep breath. Okay, and go into the foundation. Another breath for soul purpose.
What is isopropyl alcohol?
I didn't understand what you said.
I think it was someone else asking a question in
Okay.
her house. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Another deep breath for safety and security. Sacred heartbeat. New DNA. Water. The tapestry, the grid. Number 8, I am that I am. Number 9, our feet. Number 10, the root. Number 11, the sacrum. Number 12, the place of the goddess, the stomach, the lungs, the solar plexus. Number 13, our heart. Number 14, our throat. Number 15, our third eye. Number 16, heaven's mysteries. Number 17, oneness. Number 18, spirit connection. Number 19, journeying. Number 20, expanded senses. Number 21, soul connection. Number 22, source connection. Number 23, union. Number 24, galactic center. Number 25, our rainbow consciousness. Okay. So take another breath or two in this new state of welcoming ourselves home. So sometimes that vortex has been closed, or most of the time I think it's been closed, but when one of us comes, it opens a little bit up there. And I think it's been a very healing time for us. So I'm told that this energy of love is just going to keep pouring in until everybody's unconscious memory, of being one and not separated is going to be in our knowing. So that's a huge energy shift right there. After working on Barbara and, having the rest of the day just feeling that much love, I felt really the opposite. I felt angry and like I wanted to, I just was so mad. There was something that I wanted that I couldn't have on the computer, and I was so upset about, I felt stupid and like a failure. And then I just stopped And it's like that oneness gave me the message and said, this is the pain that you felt when I separated you from me, when we separated. Then I just took that breath and I let that go. It was a pretty, there couldn't be anything more opposite. And it really did remind me of what we were talking about, the difference between people who believe the Trump reality and people who believe the Biden reality. And I thought, if we can integrate and release that pain, that's one of the things that's going to help us. That's the practical magic that's going to help us unify the country. I'm sure you've realized by now that I don't think doing healing or doing practical magic just influences my personal life or the personal life of people I'm with. It also influences politics and world hunger and pollution and everything we're working to fix. And I don't know much about, I feel like I've talked about the pendulum had swung toward evil and now it's swinging toward good. And I think, when is the crossover? When is it all the way over into good? And I think we're really close to that crossover from what happened with the election and then what happened in the unseen world, where the Lake Superior vortex has opened its heart to all of us. I started the process with a surprise. A week ago today, I was working on Clyde for a little bit and we heard this pounding on our door, and there was a gift and a card in the mailbox. And the guy didn't wait long enough to have us open the door. And Clyde brings this gift and card to me. And here, thank goodness, here's his gift. It's a thing for your car. So, and his card said, it was a homemade card, and this is a 69-year-old guy named Ron. And some of you, I did tell you about the healing. I worked on him twice, and the first healing was this marvelous miracle, and the second healing was just a regular healing miracle, if you will. But I worked on him at the end of February, just before the big shutdown for the COVID. And then, because he told me he had lung cancer, he was very weak, and I don't know if he had lung cancer or lymphoma, but he had a tumor the size of a tennis ball on his heart. And it was just huge, and it was so painful. And the VA that was working with him was sure he would die of a heart attack before the cancer would get him. And he was in such a weakened condition, he could hardly get from his car into our house. And I know he was completely deaf, almost. He was pretty deaf, because that's why he couldn't hear Clyde and I yelling at him when he pounded on the door, to come on in. So I saw him, and I wanted to lightly hover my hand over the heart, because I didn't think I could probably put my hand on his heart. And I couldn't even hover over the heart. It was too painful for him. So I pulled my chair around the side, and I put a hand on his tailbone. And then I put my hand on his right lung, about 6 or 7 inches away from his heart. And I told him I was going to move that tumor off of his heart and move it over here into his right lung. And then my invisible hands would do that. And so that's what happened. As soon as I said it, my invisible hands reached for that tumor and pulled it across his chest and off of him. And he felt that. I mean, it was hard for him not to feel that shift. And he was just, it was probably the most powerful healing I've ever done, because I've done a lot of healings where people have gotten on the table and they get off the table and they're out of pain, or, they felt shifts, and, I can imagine they felt shifts because I felt shifts, and it's been great. But this is the kind of shift that is palatable, that, is there. So yeah, he cried for over an hour. You know, he was overwhelmed and grief stricken and taken apart and terrified. And, you know, so he had all these feelings. And then he disappeared with the COVID. So the next day I talked to him on the phone and he told me he's completely cancer free. And he thanked me for saving his life. And of course, I wouldn't let him get away with that if it was in person, you know, because I think healing is a team sport, you know, and God wanted him saved, and there's all his doctors and all the people praying for him, and you know, the drill. So then he gives me this. And this is a flashlight. And it's a, what do you call it? Emergency.
Hazard flasher, yeah.
Right. And then there's this thing here. This is like a hammer. And if you're in your car, it'll break your car windows. You know, if my car goes into the river and I need to get out, it'll break my car windows. And this is a thing for my seatbelt, to cut my seatbelt off of me so that I'm not stuck. And so he tells me what each thing is on the phone. We could talk the next day. And he hopes, of course, that I would never need this. I did not point out to him that I was blind, too blind to drive, and not likely to need it. But he said he wants me to always be protected in every way. So I thought that was the sweetest gift I could receive. Then I realized, of course, this object is infused with his emotion of gratitude and his emotion of that intent for me. That is a fucking powerful intent. So then what I did is I took it to bed with me and I held on to it, and I have a cross and a heart that Clyde built a copper pyramid for our backyard with some help from people, and that hung on that pyramid for 9 years. That's in there, and that belongs to the earth. And so I've had an intent that holding on to that and holding on to this, and I grabbed a huge piece of jade, since jade is the stone that helps us feel safe and be safe. It's all about safety. And then I wanted every single traumatic event vibrated out of my core body and physical body, any of my bodies, that where I have been traumatized because I wasn't protected. And then I said anything, whether I was protected or not. I mean, even if it seemed like I was protected on earth and God didn't protect me, you know, from the other side, if I was traumatized. That took over 6 hours. And I could really feel that shift. So that's what I did. I had an object given to me, and I knew what the intent was. And I thought, okay, I'm going to use it, just like Paul got that little object given to him and he had an intent. So part of how you know what you should do next, or as part of your healing, is by what happens to your objects around you. You know, so say you break a glass as you take it out of the cupboard, you know, then that's a communication from your guidance. It's not just a broken glass. So I want you to think about things, your objects, differently as part of the partnership of how the unseen world is communicating with you. I'm going to stop there. What do you think of that? Anybody got some thoughts about that?
I forgot you didn't hear me. Wow.
Hey.
That's what I had to say.
Yeah.
Well, you do have to think about your life as and all its cosmic, you know, possibilities. You know, it's making you very important if you start thinking about that. Like, why should God take it upon it's himself, herself, to communicate with me through my objects? I'm nobody. I mean, you really have to drop your I hate myself thing. In fact, if I find, we have our astral body is one way we can figure out. Part of one of the questions we have to ask ourselves when we're feeling bad is not only what time is it. Remember last time we talked about, am I feeling bad because of something that happened this lifetime years ago? Am I feeling bad because of something that happened lifetimes ago? Another question about that is, am I feeling bad because I'm healing me, or am I healing some member of my family, or am I healing the earth? Am I healing the collective? Why am I feeling bad? And then I muscle test that, say, okay, yes or no, collective or earth or whatever. And when I don't have a story or an object and I feel like there's something wrong with me, then I know I'm healing the universe. Then I tell heart to stop. I don't need to heal the universe. There's all these other people on the planet, they can do it. I'm choosing to heal myself. Yeah, so it really, when I said a narcissism, you really have to be willing to pay more strict attention to your emotions and your physical aches and pains. So your astral body will shift you out of healing for the universe and will drop things that you no longer need to feel. So if I'm feeling frightened because I'm changing so fast, and it's easy to do that, it's like a change and I welcome the fungi. A change because I vibrate out all the protection trauma. I change because I welcome in the vortex energy from the North Shore. My God, I always have a reason to be frightened. How much time do I want to spend being frightened about these changes? I haven't been killed so far. So I ask heart, do I need to feel this? Do I have anything to learn from this? And if my muscle test says no, then I said, take it out. I'm not going to do this. So you do have more control over what you're feeling and what you're experiencing than you think. And if you're not willing to pay that attention to yourself, the other side will let you spend as much time as you choose until they've got another job for you. To go ahead and process something for the universe. But if I'm processing something for the universe, I'm not taking care of me.
Right.
I've already done enough processing for the universe. There's nothing new I can learn from that.
Well, yeah, Jaentra, I loved your story, particularly about the importance of objects. I mean, so this showed up in your life, this light, this,
Right.
and then you use it in a way that facilitates your own healing. I'm a little confused about well, a couple of things. What I'm confused about is, so you've already learned all you need to in terms of healing the universe. Is that true of everyone? I mean, it may be true of you, but is it true of me or any of the rest of us here? So that we're very clear about needing to heal ourselves, not the universe. That feels overwhelming to me, for one thing.
It is overwhelming. Well, you and everyone in this class, we've already spent enough years healing the universe. So you don't have to do any more.
Now, we're done with that.
We're done with that. I'm sure there are many people on the planet who are not done with that and are still learning from that. The other thing I want to tell you is my thing where I was vibrating out all the protection trauma that spun and they took it out of you, everybody here too.
I assume that's true, because you've always talked about when we heal ourselves, we're also healing the collective.
Right.
So that goes out into the universe. I've been, it was creative of you then to realize that this was a protection piece. I have been holding on to this beautiful slate stone I found when I was in the Boundary Waters on Lake Superior, not Boundary Waters, Lake Superior this summer. but nothing has come to me about, but I'm sure it's connected to my healing in some way. I'm
It's probably
certain that it is.
probably connected to that vortex.
Well, that now I honestly didn't know that there was a vortex on Lake Superior. That's news to me.
I thought you did.
I guess I didn't. Or if I did, I forgot, because I knew there was one over Minnesota, but I didn't know it was precisely Lake Superior.
Mm.
I know Sedona Glacier in Minnesota, but is it the only one in Minnesota?
I don't know. Is it the only one? Yes.
Okay. Oh, okay. So, but I guess the appeal to me are these found objects,
Yeah.
that you, so I really like that you're saying, let's notice the objects around us, because they're telling us a story. I do believe that they are messages from the universe.
Yeah.
I don't always pay attention, but when I do, and I know about this stone, so I will, I'll hope that I come up with something pretty quickly about it.
My mind isn't, I'm not able to help you with that right this minute, but I think if I hadn't figured this out, this is like, I can't figure out the light and the whole protection thing. That's kind of obvious. But sometimes I will talk to other people and say, what does that mean? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I do think those objects are so important for us to connect with.
Well, I'll ask some questions and muscle test it. I guess that's the connection you're making with the muscle testing, right?
Right. Yeah. It's
Okay.
a way to
To
connect,
check.
to check and say, what does it have to do with?
Mm-hmm. Good.
Yeah. So, and sometimes when we're doing something new, we're not healing something in ourselves because the frequencies haven't been shared on the planet yet to heal whatever that is.
Mm.
And it's up to us to bring that frequency in. So that's another thing you can muscle test. Are the frequencies here for me to heal this? Then I'm welcome the new ones. Are they ready? Are you ready to share, let me have them? And not very often the answer is no. I mean, sometimes it is, because they see the big picture of what needs to be healed in what order. That's part of the kind of frustrating thing for us.
Mm.
Okay, so one of the things we are going to do this week, I'm sure, is continue that opening into that home, that energy of feeling at home and one with oneness. We've got to expand that and expand that and expand that until we have our own personal needs met around that. So just knowing that, I think, will help. And then after we feel that, I'm going to go into more steps about pain. The step they taught me about pain is that lots of times pain is caused by separation. And I knew that, but I just needed to be reminded. And separation can be abandonment, betrayal, and rejection. It doesn't just have to be hatred of ourselves, self-hatred. But that's what pain is caused by. They did have me, and I want to share this with you because I want you to go with me here because it opens it faster. Imagine myself without any pain, and almost like, how could that be? And I could almost imagine that. And I could see that, I don't know how to explain it. I would feel superior to the kind of life I have now. Like my life quality would really be different. So that's where I'm going. I'm letting that desire for to be completely pain-free guide me. Now I want to encourage you all to create an object. The most powerful object I own, they told me years ago, was a quilt that some of you have seen, and it has patches on it from every person I've healed for I don't know how many years. And some people gave me patches for that quilt, and sometimes I chose patches that represented somebody I was healing. So what I want you to find in your space, in your area, is something, an object that is beyond you, that is nurturing for you, that embodies your influence. And I don't know if it's like a mother grandmother ring, you know, where all your peeps are, you know, gate, you know, are in gemstones, or if it's a gift, or if it's hard to say. You know, when I made the infinity symbol for my car, I mean, that's a pretty powerful thing. And I guess what I'd encourage you, if we were in seeing each other across my dining room, is we would figure out what power object you should claim or make for yourself that will give you so much protection and love that you can do what I did. You know, that pyramid, that cross that was hanging in the pyramid in my backyard for 9 years. You know, it's a powerful object. And I'm under my quilt, and I've got my new protection thing. But I don't, you know, you may not have anything that long standing or that dramatic, but you have been alive a lot of years. So there's got to be some things that you can piece together, you know. Or maybe it was to make a quilt out of clothes that you've worn in years past and have it represent, I don't know, you know, times that you've changed and overcome great challenges. And, you know, do you understand what I'm trying to help you create? An object that
Well,
you can use to help yourself change further.
well, I think you're talking about a power object,
I am.
but something that is meaningful to us in a way that reflects or expresses some of our life experiences.
Yeah.
So I don't know, that I think that'll be pretty easy. For me, it's not a quilt.
No. I
Um,
don't know what it is for you, but I know you made that really kind of wonderful, elegant painting of the door not that many years ago.
oh, okay.
You know, and I think of how many doors you've walked through.
Yeah, doors are
Open for other people, you know.
yeah. Doors have some significance for me. I'm surprised you remember that painting though, but yeah. I don't have that painting, that, you know,
Okay.
that's my son has it, but yeah. But I think I understand what you're asking.
Okay. How much time do I have yet for tonight? What time is it, Clyde?
10 minutes.
Okay, 10 minutes. Why don't you think about a time where, I mean, each person, think about a time that you had nobody to depend on but yourself, and you overcame a challenge or a great challenge. Like, you could think about what you overcame, what object could symbolize that, what object maybe was around you when you did that. It doesn't have to be a pretty rock or a stone. I mean, if you overcame like some open heart surgery, it could be an object that, you know, reminds you of that you could use. Anyway, just think about it means making yourself and your struggles to survive not just about you. It's important for all of us. want to make you much more self-centered than you are. In fact, if you didn't take care of yourself, many of us, I think, wouldn't be alive today if we hadn't made some choices that we made. So we've got these 5 energy bodies, and we just changed the core body because the core body now has no trauma in it from any lack of protection. That happened a few days ago. The core body also let go of the painful goodbye from the being that was in the energy vortex over Lake Superior. That was us. So us treating ourselves badly, that's a huge memory to be taken out of the core body. It seems to me that would make the core body even stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And then the astral body is now our new body barometer to feel, are we processing something for the universe? Are we processing something for ourselves? Are we processing something for the earth? Are we processing something for ourselves? Muscle test that. And the astral body's what's going to tell you. If we're just in general thinking, I'm no good, that's probably the universe saying. But if in general we are remembering, well, when I, in 3rd grade, I took a report card home saying that I flunked 3rd grade and I didn't make it to 4th grade. I remember crying all the way home. My mother knew that there'd been a mistake, that I was going to make it. She called the teacher, and the teacher had to come over and tell me it was in fact an error, and she had to then call the other little girl that she made, switched with and tell her she failed. So if I'm thinking about that little story in my life, then what am I vibrating out? What is the point of that? I'm 71 years old. Why do I need to think about that? Well, because, muscle tests to find out from heart, why is that important? What do I need to learn? And, your astral body has focused you on a Jaentra story or a Claudia story or, your own story. And what is it you need to know from that? Anything? And your jewel body, though, that's the one you can throw out into the universe and reach for like minds and hearts. That's the one you can do the searching for, the answers to the questions we were asking in the beginning is, how are we going to create oneness? It's the body of oneness. You can be one with anybody there. So you can send your jewel body to be one with one of those Trump supporters, and then start muscle testing and asking, what do I need to do to create a bridge here? And can my jewel body give this person a healing to help awaken them? So yes, there are things you can do to change the politics in your, in your family, in your neighborhood, in everything. And your jewel body is going to help you do that. But by by 2 weeks from now, there'll be a whole nother bunch of stories about what we've opened up. And what I'm hoping is that you can tell me some stories about people who sent you a flashlight in your mailbox.
Not just a flashlight.
Not just a flashlight, a hammer, a razor.
That's right.
Keeps going. I don't know if I'll ever give this to Clyde. I thought I'd give it to him to use in our car. I love holding it. Now I'm wondering if
good.
It does. I wonder if I could use it as a, instead of a gemstone to put on somebody's body. It's just amazing.
Quite a beat. Yeah.
It's such an unusual gift. And, and I imagine it's something that a man would think to give.
Right.
Is, it's very practical. It's, you know, um, and it's quirky,
It is.
So, yeah, I mean, I
And
just think
keeps you
it's,
safe 5 different ways,
yeah,
But,
it's wonderful.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I was really grateful. Yeah. Well, sure.
I was given I look in on a gal who, she's an older woman today. I see her once or twice a week. She's got a lot of health issues, and isolation is really hard on people these days. And she's actually a mystic. It's very interesting to be with her. And we do Tai Chi together. So I go to her house and I practice with her. But she has very few resources, and she gave me a birthday gift. I don't even know how she knew I had an October birthday, but it was from a shop called Wabi Sabi, and I don't know if you all know what that is, the concept of Wabi Sabi.
No.
Janet, you're shaking your head. You know what that is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And well, it's a Japanese idea about the imperfection of art. It's just a lovely idea. She gave me this beautiful bowl that just, I don't know, I started to tear up a little bit for a number of reasons, and it has dragons in it.
Mm.
The design is dragons, and it's just beautiful. And I'm very drawn to dragons. And dragons for me are all about fire.
Mm-hmm.
And it occurred to me that, even though we're all kind of worn out, like the others of you who talked about feeling tired, I didn't realize either, Claudia, you mentioned this, how much I had been holding, how much anxiety I think I wasn't aware at the time, but the relief was so huge, and now I've been wiped out as well. But we're not done, so it's like
right.
I'm going to need some fire again, because I sure don't have it today. Didn't have it yesterday, and so I don't know. It was one of those things, like your flashlight, your super duper flashlight,
Right.
Jaentra. It's like it sort of appeared, and there was a message. It was like,
Yes, there was.
okay, the dragon's fire. I need fire because I don't have any right now. So
Maybe you need moxibustion. Clyde and I just got a hit about moxibustion. You know what that is?
I
It's
have
a
no
bunch of
idea. I've never even
It's
never heard
it's
of
an
it.
acupuncture thing, and you can buy it. You can order it online, but it looks like a cigar, and then you light the end of it, and then you hold it over acupuncture points, and it puts energy into you. It adds fire to your acupuncture. So Clyde has this scar where his appendix. It was a big, nasty surgery that almost killed him when he was in college, and we want that to open up there. So we're using moxibustion on the scar. Jack told me how wonderful that was. That was a great idea, and that I should use it on stomach 36, which is a point on just on your calf. If you're looking at your body, it's like 2 inches from your kneecap down, on the external part of the tibia, just inside that groove. And it'll add energy to your energy field. So I don't know if that's part of a small possible sign.
How do
from
you
the
spell
dragon.
it? I've never. How do you
Moxi, Moxa, Buston, moxibustion.
BOS?
Moxi,
Uh-huh.
Bustin.
Okay.
So we have a glass jar that we light the cigar, and it doesn't smell, it smells like plant herbs. I don't think it's a bad smell. but it'll smoke up, it has smoke. And
Mhm.
then we put it back in the jar and put the lid on it. So then it'll go completely out because of the oxygen being denied it. So
Right.
you want to make
Oh,
sure
okay.
that it goes completely out when you're done using it.
Right.
And you can use it multiple times, obviously.
Right. You can use it
Yeah.
every
So
day.
yeah, I had a traumatic appendix surgery too. So I think I'll check this out. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
What conversations do, because you can think of things that I go, oh, that reminds me of,
Mhm.
you know how we do that.
Yeah, but this is very practical, so thank you.
You're welcome. All right. I had a great time with you all tonight again. Get
Thank
plenty of
you.
rest and fire yourselves up. Gently.
I guess, yeah.
Food and
Yeah.
wonderful.
All right. Thank
All
you,
right.
everyone.
Yep.
Next
Yeah, Thank you,
time.
Jaentra. Thank you, Clyde.
Yeah.
Thank you, Gentra.
Thank you.
Bye-bye,
You,
everyone.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.